Buenos dias. I've got a video for you related to the conversation content for our Section 1 lessons in our Spanish elective class. This PowerPoint includes vocabulary content for greetings and farewells, introductions, courtesies, and polite inquiry. There's also some slides related to grammar, formal and familiar grammar, as well as Spanish punctuation. So I hope you'll find this useful, and feel free to pause or rewind at any point if you need to hear something again or need some clarification. So we'll start first with greetings and give you the pronunciation guide for that. You'll want to jot these down into your notes. Make sure you have those handy. That will be content you'll be expected to know. These are also linked on Quizlet, so you can practice those on Quizlet as well. So first greeting, pretty basic. It's hola. Notice that you don't pronounce the H. H's are silent in Spanish. Hola means hello. Second, we have buenos dias. Buenos dias can mean good morning or good day, depending on the context. Next, we have buenas tardes, which is good afternoon. Anything after noon. Buenas tardes. And then buenas noches can mean good evening or good night, again, depending on the context. You might notice there's a distinction in the O's versus the A's here for buenos or buenas. That's intentional. It's not a mistake. Dia is a masculine noun, and so bueno is appropriate. Tarde and noche are both feminine nouns, and so the buenas with the A is appropriate spelling there. We'll talk more about gender and nouns a little bit later on. Excuse me. Next up, we have farewells, and probably one you already know. Adios means goodbye. Buenas noches, again, can mean good night in this context. And then hasta luego literally means until later. We understand it as see you later. Hasta mañana is until tomorrow. Again, we understand it as see you tomorrow. Another common farewell used often in Spanish-speaking countries is hasta pronto. It's still the same spelling, H-A-S-T-A. And then pronto is P-R-O-N-T-O. Hasta pronto means I'll see you soon, or until soon is what the literal translation is. Okay, so we've got those for you. Let's take a look at introductions next. Introductions are the way we ask someone their name or we tell someone our name. And so there's a couple of different ways to do this. The first that you'll see here is ¿Cómo te llamas? Notice I didn't pronounce the L sound. Double L's in Spanish make a y sound. So it's ¿Cómo te llamas? Literally it translates how are you called, which for us as English speakers sounds kind of funny. We understand it as what are you called or what's your name. So a common way of asking a person their name is ¿Cómo te llamas? Another way that is more directly correlated to how we ask that question in English is this second option, which is ¿Cuál es tu nombre? And that is a direct translation for what is your name. Either one is appropriate as long as you use either of them correctly. Don't try to mix them up and create a hybrid. For the first, ¿Cómo te llamas?, the appropriate response would be here, me llamo, and then you put your name here in the blank, and that translates I am called, and then your name. So for instance, for me, I would say, me llamo Señora Parest, which translates I am called Señora Parest, okay? The second option here is the appropriate response to this question, ¿Cuál es tu nombre? And we'll respond here with mi nombre es, which is the equivalent of my name is. So in my case, I would say mi nombre es Señora Parest, which translates my name is Mrs. Parest, okay? Whenever we meet somebody for the first time, it's polite to extend various courtesies as we're being introduced to a person for the first time. And so you might use some of these courtesies in the introductions as you see here. Mucho gusto, it translates nice to meet you. Encantado or encantada is delighted to meet you. If you are a male, you want to use encantado. If you're a guy, if you're a young lady, you're going to want to use encantada because you are female. Next is igualmente, which is same here or likewise. So if somebody said mucho gusto to you, you could respond igualmente. It would also be perfectly appropriate to say mucho gusto back to that person. And then if you want to introduce someone, you can use te presento a, which is I would like to present, literally is how it's translated. We understand it as I would like to introduce. So if you have a friend named Joe, you could say te presento a Joe as you're introducing Joe to your other friends, okay? And then at that point, it would be appropriate for your friends to do something like this, which is the mucho gusto, etc. So there's some introductions info for you. Let's see, let's go on to just some general courtesies. These are things that we can sprinkle in our language all the time. Hopefully you're using your pleases and thank yous in English, and so maybe what you want to do here is try to sprinkle in the Spanish versions as much as you can as you're learning the Spanish. So for please, the pronunciation, oops, sorry about that. For please, the pronunciation is por favor. This is a good place to start also working on that rolled R sound. It's a pretty subtle one because you just have one R at the end of each of those pieces of the word. Por favor. Okay, it's just pretty subtle, but you can work on that. Some of you are going to be better at it than others, and that's okay. Next up, oh gosh, sorry about that. I'm going to give you guys some dizziness here. Next up is gracias, which means thank you. De nada is you are welcome. Perdóname means pardon me. It kind of sounds like and looks like perdóname. It's a cognate. And then lastly, we have lo siento, which means I am sorry. Okay, so those are basic courtesies that you can use as you're just speaking your English language. You can just kind of sprinkle those in. This next slide I call polite inquiry. Excuse me. And these are the things that we do when we encounter folks maybe in the hallways. You're just, how you doing? What's going on? That kind of thing. Pretty generic responses. Typically in American culture, we're not actually looking for a detailed response to how are you when we ask that question. So we give pretty generic responses. And so that's what we've got to begin with. Later on in our class, we'll give you guys some more detail and more specifics. When we ask how are you, we use this phrase, ¿Cómo estás? ¿Cómo estás? And then some generic responses you can use here. If you're good, you can say bien. If you're mal, you're bad. Más o menos translates more or less or so-so. And then typically when somebody asks us how we're doing, it's polite after we respond to say, and you, like how are you doing as well? That's a polite way to respond. And so that's what we have down here, y tú. So for instance, I might say, ¿Cómo estás? And you could reply, bien, y tú? And that would be good, and you, and then I would reply with how I'm doing, okay? So there's your polite inquiry there, and that should help you with the pronunciation as we go through this first section of conversation content. The goal is always to give you questions and phrases that you can actually have a conversation with instead of just random vocabulary that's not particularly useful. I just want to talk to you a little bit about what some of the other items here on the slides are. This definition for cognates versus false cognates, you definitely are going to want to write that in your notes. That's important to remember. Cognates are very useful to us. Things like silencio and silence, they look similar, they sound similar, and they have the same meaning. And so those can be really helpful as language learners. We do have to be careful, though, because there are some things out there called false cognates where they look like something that we know and they sound like something that we know, but in fact they have a different meaning, and that can sometimes get us into trouble. So we got to watch out for that. This next slide on formal and familiar grammar is pretty straightforward. In American culture, we tend to be a little more relaxed about formal and familiar. And in the Spanish language and in the culture, it's definitely more defined. And so this kind of just gives you some ideas on when familiar grammar would be used and when formal grammar would be used. Just so you know, whenever I put these information together, I'm putting it together in the familiar so that you just have one to use at this point. If you decided to take more Spanish classes in high school, you're going to have to learn both, but we won't do that quite yet. Also, many folks are interested in what is the deal with the upside down question marks, the upside down exclamation points. And so this slide kind of gives you a description and just kind of explains to you why we have the upside down punctuation and how that works there. It's pretty straightforward, okay? So hopefully as you work through this content, you've got the ability to kind of read the content, to also write the content, and eventually speak and comprehend that content as you move through. That's always the goal with the work that we do with any of our content here. Feel free, like I said, to pause, to stop, to rewind, and definitely check out the Quizlet link so that you can practice the vocabulary content related to this unit. Thank you.